Welcome to Mr. Biz Radio, biz talk for biz owners. During the next half hour, Mr. Biz, Ken Wentworth, a leading business advisor and two-time best-selling author, will cover topics that'll help business owners run their companies more profitably and more efficiently. If you're ready to stop faking the funk and take your business onward and upward, this show is for you. And now, here's Mr. Biz, Ken Wentworth.
All right, welcome to another episode of Mr. Biz Radio with me, Mr. Biz, Ken Wentworth. And this week, we're going to dive right in. We have a guest this week that I've been looking forward to talking to. She booked on the show, probably, I want to say it's like 3 months ago. Seems like long time ago, too long ago. And we're going to talk through a lot of different things, but one of the unique perspectives is we talk about this on the show, and we've talked about it often over the 5+ years we've been doing the show, is we often learn the best from mistakes, from challenges, from bumps in the road, et cetera. And our guest this week, Joanne Kaminski, is going to demonstrate to us, talk to us a little bit about some of the bumps in the road and challenges that she has faced in growing her businesses, plural, over the years. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Joanne Kaminski. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's start with, I kind of teased it a little bit there, but let's start with your entrepreneurial journey. Tell us, kind of where you've gone, where you've been, things you've done, et cetera.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually started as a classroom teacher. And so I did not have that business mindset that was just kind of like naturally ingrained in me. I did not go to business school or any of those kinds of things, right? I was a teacher, and I ended up getting sick and had to leave my teaching career. I was in and out of the hospital, and it was one of the toughest things I've experienced because my entire identity was actually wrapped around this idea of being a teacher, not a business owner, right? So I had no idea how my mindset had to shift as I became an entrepreneur, starting two businesses. And today I not only help kids that are struggling with reading be able to close the gap a full year with 8 to 12 hours of instruction, but I'm also able to help tutors they're great teachers, but they just have no idea how to get students. And they're looking for what are some strategies that I can put into my business so that I can get students and be able to work with people from all over the world. So I have these two sides of my businesses that, have grown over the years. I would say in the beginning, because of all of the mindset that I had done, I had read these books that like they were all like The Secret and, things that like really get your mind like hyped and excited about business. Right. And you're like, oh yeah, all I have to do is like see it in my mind and it's going to happen. And so I was like all about like positive thought and energy and all of this. And then I got started and everything was very slow compared to what I thought was going to happen. And so I think there was a blessing in that things were really slow to begin with my business. Like I was getting one student here and I would get another student here, because if I got too many students at one time, I wouldn't have known how to handle it. But, it's so funny. Like I finally have gotten to the point that I thought I would have gotten to in my business now 12 years later, right? I'm at that, a few $100,000 I'm making every year point. And I kind of thought like my first year starting out was going to look like that, and it didn't. But, I think what we really have to do in our journey is really find out like, where is our heart and where do we want to be and who is it that we want to serve? And so I really got those pieces figured out on who is it that I want to serve. I always tell people I am passionate about helping kids that are struggling with reading, but my mission is to help tutors that really want to get their business up and going quickly.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit more though about the transition from being a teacher, dealing with the illness and realizing, holy crap, I'm going to have to pivot. I'm going to have to figure out something else different here. What did that look like? So was there sort of an epiphany moment where you're like, man, I can't do, in-room class anymore. Like I'm going to have to do something different. What did that look like for you?
It was extremely tough because I had taken a 3-month leave of absence. And then when I came back to work to finish out the school year, I remember just sitting down at my desk and I heard this voice and it said, "You're not meant to be here." And it was like this stark realization that not only was I not meant to be there, I wasn't happy there. And I was really frustrated all the time. And I had 3 little girls at the time at home, and I had mama guilt going like through the wazoo crazy because I always wanted to be a really great mom to my kids. And I felt like my job was really taking a lot of my time and not allowing me to do that. And so, I really struggled with that. And I think it caused like the stress and anxiety, which caused the illness inside of my body, but I didn't recognize it as that in the beginning. And so, when I made that realization that I wasn't going to be coming back to the school system, I remember saying to one of my friends, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to figure something out so that I can work from home. And they looked at me and they go, oh, is that what they're calling it now? And I'm like, oh, does she think that I mean that I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom now? Like, no, like I literally am going to try to figure out a way where I can work from home, like on the computer doing something. I had no idea what that was going to look like at the time. But I just thought that her response was quite funny because I'm like, oh, she thinks I'm just saying that, like, well, yeah, if I am a stay-at-home mom, that is a job in and of itself, sure. But no, I wasn't coming up with a new name for it. But then, I had to go through this journey of really trying to figure out what do I want to do. And, I thought I wanted to kind of leave the teaching world kind of forever. And so I started down some other paths. I started doing some MLM. I ended up selling Usborne books, and I tried to do Etsy. So I tried all these other business that I completely failed at, and really struggled with really learning those business, strategies. And I just like almost at the point where I was just like, you know what? I just don't think like starting a business is my thing because I was failing so much with that.
Yeah, well, so I can't even imagine. So 12 years ago, so, when you think about online learning, online tutoring, et cetera, in 2022, people probably don't bat an eye at it because especially during the pandemic, when almost even public schools, everything was online. So people don't even think twice about it. But 12 years ago, you had to be kind of really breaking into something new there. People were probably like, yeah, she might be a little crazy.
Yes. Yeah, totally. I had so many people who were just like, so how do you exactly teach reading online? Like, can that even be a thing? Like, I even had people ask me the question, do kids even need that? Like, I think that they were thinking I was going to teach them how to read words, like online, like how to read a website and those kinds of things. And it's like, no, I'm helping kids that are struggling with learning how to read, but I'm just doing it via the computer. I had to explain myself to so many people. They absolutely thought I was crazy.
Yeah, like I said, 12 years ago, it wasn't that there were no online learning platforms, but they were pretty scarce back then, and again, you fast forward 2020 and everything goes online and it was a requirement. So I can't even imagine, especially coming through, like you said, some of the trials and tribulations that you had gone through. Your friends, family were probably like, okay, she tried this, she tried that. Now she's talking about doing what? Teaching kids to read online? Like, I think she's really gone off her rocker this time. So I can imagine those challenges. So we're gonna hit a break here coming up, but we are going to. It was a good tease, Joanne. When we get into the third segment, like we always do, we're going to pick her brain a little bit and learn from some of the things she learned from with some of those challenges she had trying to build different types of businesses, and what she learned from it, how to make sure that we don't fall victim to those and we stay out of those problems. So come back after the break. We'll continue talking, easy for me to say, with Joanne Kaminski.
Business owners have a continually growing to-do list with little time for revenue-producing activities. With Check Off Your List and their experienced team of virtual assistants, you can focus on growing your business. Visit checkoffyourlist.com to learn how Check Off Your List's skilled team can handle your day-to-day tasks like social media, bookkeeping, calendar maintenance, and much more. Contact Check Off Your List at checkoffyourlist.com or call 888-262-1249 to see how their virtual assistants can help you live to work rather than work to live.
Thank you for listening to Mr. Biz Radio. Did you know our show airs 7 days a week for more than 30 hours now? If you are in the B2B space and would like to reach thousands of business owners every week, including our more than 250,000 social media followers, our thousands of daily internet radio listeners, our email list fans, and Mr. Biz Solutions members, email us at info@MrBizSolutions.com to become a sponsor. Tap into Mr. Biz Nation to help grow your business.
Check out both of Mr. Biz's national best-selling books, Pathway to Profits and How to Be a Cash Flow Pro on Amazon. Now, once again, here's Mr. Biz.
All right, welcome back to the show. And it is time for the Mr. Biz tip of the week. And this week's tip, financial related, surprise, build a strong balance sheet. And I mentioned this because a lot of business owners think that the balance sheet, that's just a bunch of accounting gobbledygook. And it kind of is a little bit, but you still have to understand some of the basics of it. And building a strong balance sheet, the balance sheet is basically the financial health of your business. I know everyone talks about the profit and loss statement, net income statement. Everyone cares about that, right? Sales revenue, net income, money in your pocket, right? Very important. But really, when a lender looks at your business and things like that, they're going to look at your balance sheet first, even before they get to your income statement. So very important. If you have a strong balance sheet, it shows strong financial health. It shows you're paying attention to things. You're going to sleep better at night because you know you're in good shape. For example, pandemic hits, depending on the type of business you have. If you have strong cash reserves, you can weather the storm, right? You don't have to worry about things. You're going to be flexible for opportunities. So let's say, again, during the pandemic or during an economic downturn, there are opportunities that present themselves. Some businesses decide, okay, you know what, it's a downturn, I'm going to go ahead and sell. You may be able to buy a rival, you may be able to buy a competitor and boost up your own company. So very important there. And then, as I mentioned, lenders like it. And even lastly, but maybe most importantly, depending on what your exit plan is for your business, a potential buyer of your business. That's the first place they're going to look. When I do due diligence for other clients on potentially buying a business, the first thing I want to see, they want to push the income statement to you. Look at all this money we're making. I want to see the balance sheet. I want to see how much debt you have. I want to see how much reserves you have, how many assets you have, et cetera. So very important, make sure you build a strong balance sheet. If you're not sure how to do that, I might know a guy that could help you with that. So that's a Mr. Biz tip of the week this week. We'll get back into talking with Joanne. So Joanne, tell us a little bit more. Let's dive in a little bit more about what you do now. So you had to leave the classroom, had the sickness, illness, came back, tried a bunch of different things. We'll talk more about those in the third segment, but now you're doing online tutoring. You've been doing it for quite some time now. Tell us a little bit more about what that looks like, how you've helped folks, et cetera.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work with tutors that are struggling with being able to get students for their business. However, what they don't realize is that there's so much more than just getting students. There are so many different pieces that can help us run our business smoothly and effectively. And there's networking opportunities that we can take advantage of that really will power up your business. And so I teach them those strategies in a group format. I have coaches on my team and I have myself. And what we do is we bring them through this entire process through a program called the Jumpstart Your Online Tutoring Business Masterclass. And we help those tutors get all of the systems in place for their business and set them up so that they can market in an online way effectively without having to watch all of their money get drained. So many people want to just go to Facebook ads or Google ads and just be like, yeah, let me do the easy thing. And what they end up finding is that their money just disappears because they don't know anything about marketing. They were just like me, right? When I was a teacher, I didn't know anything about marketing. And so now that I've been doing this a while, I know a little bit more about marketing, but to use those tools to get students is not the best tool. A lot of other people too, they just think, oh, I'm just going to watch like all the YouTube videos that are out there. But then what they end up doing is they get overwhelmed with all of the resources and tools and things, and they don't know who to listen to and what should I put in place. Whereas when they go through our program, what they end up learning is how to put all the pieces in place in the right order at the right time so that they can run the most effective online tutoring business that they possibly can. And most of the people end up being people that are they're independent freelance tutors like myself. And so they really enjoy that one-on-one working with kids or possibly small group. some of them may have a vision or a dream to have other tutors underneath them, but their starting vision usually is, hey, I just want to be able to replace my income, or I want to stop doing in-person tutoring and I want to move into online tutoring. And so we get them all set up with those pieces so they can be successful and can kind of have a set it and forget it mode to them, but then also teach them what are some other strategies that they can use long term so that they don't always have to be searching for their students when they have a spot that opens up.
Interesting. And I like what you said too. I think it's very important is because I see this a lot of times. There's so many, depending on the industry niche you're in, there's so many gurus out there, right? And I think that's what happens a lot of times is when people, especially people who are freelancers or starting, left their corporate job, their teaching job as it may be, and they're branching out and they're saying, hey, I'm going to start this. They look for who are the gurus in my space, and then they end up trying to do what all of them say.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned, they're following 6 different people that are the gurus. And as you can imagine, these 6 different people probably have kind of 6 different ways of doing something, right? There's more than one way to skin a cat. And you end up trying to do all these different things. And what I have found with clients, and frankly, it happened to me as well, is when you're trying to do 6 different things, you get nothing done. You get a little bit of 6. All of them are, at 70 or 80%. They never get 100% because it's just impossible to try to, do that in 6 different ways or whatever. So I think it's very important. And I'm glad you mentioned that, to find 1, maybe 2, if they're in kind of disparate different pieces of the business that you're working in or industry, to follow, because again, it's just impossible to try to follow all the advice all over the place.
Yeah, I find a lot of people too in the beginning, they're passively listening to everything that everybody says. And then they think that they're taking action on some of the things, but then they're not really taking like the full action as the person's even describing. And then they just think automatically, well, that doesn't work for me. Instead of thinking, oh, well, how could I take that strategy and how could I pump it up so that I can actually get results for me? Because every single strategy that we talk about are ways that you can get students. And so if it's not working for you, let's take a look at why is it not working for you?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I got to imagine, how much did we only got a couple minutes left here, but with the pandemic, did your business just blow up as people? So I'm imagining, again, just intuitively thinking that a lot of teachers that were maybe hesitant to go online or anything like that got forced into it and all of a sudden said, you know what, this isn't actually a bad way to teach. I kind of dig this. Maybe I should do this on my own. Did you see that kind of shift happen during the pandemic?
Oh, absolutely. And we were right there for them. As soon as it happened, I began like even working Saturdays and hosting special webinars that could guide them through the entire process of, especially those people that they were in-person tutors, they completely lost their business. If they didn't move online, it was like move online or die pretty much. Sure. So that was like a big group of people that we're really servicing. And then we did have some of the teachers like this summer that were just like, I kind of liked it, but I don't like what's going on in the school system anymore. They were done with the politics, just like I was. They were just done with everything that they were being told to do and how they needed to teach. And some of them had to be like online while also being in person with their classes, and like just the mayhem of organizing their day was just absolutely crazy. And some have decided, wouldn't it be nice to just work with one kid at a time and make more money than what I'm making in the classroom? As soon as they start realizing that, it is a game changer.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, again, this week, guys, we're talking with Joanne Kaminski. You can find out more at, make sure I get this right, onlinetutorcoach.com. That's onlinetutorcoach.com. She has a YouTube channel, plenty of great information out there. I may have watched a few videos in show prep. You can find her at Joanne Kaminski on YouTube, and her Facebook group, Ultimate Support Group for Online Tutors. Go out and check her out on Facebook as well.
Are you ready to automate your business? Automation is the key to scaling a business and building wealth. It's also one of the most difficult things for a small business owner to do on their own. If you're looking for help with automation, Pulse Technology CRM can help. We have an exclusive offer for Mr. Biz Nation. We will build everything for free, even if it's a sophisticated funnel. Visit thepulsespot.com/Mr. Biz for this exclusive offer.
If you find listening to Mr. Biz Radio is helpful, imagine having live access to not only Mr. Biz, but also 5 other trusted business experts. It's true. You can have live access to your very own CFO, plus a business attorney, a website and digital marketing expert, a sales and growth guru, a financing professional, and a customer experience master. Visit MrBizSolutions.com to learn more. Join Mr. Biz Nation at MrBizSolutions.com.
To submit questions to the show, email them to info@MrBizSolutions.com. Now, once again, here's Mr. Biz.
All right, welcome back to the show. And we talked a little bit about during the second segment about what Joanne's doing now with her online tutorcoach.com business, which obviously has been very successful. But she also alluded to during the first segment, in between teaching and online tutorcoach.com, she had some trials and tribulations. She learned a lot of things from those, as I mentioned at the outset, is that's a lot of times when you learn the most and figure it out. And clearly she learned a lot from it because now she's very successful in what she's doing. So I wanted to talk a little bit, Joanne, if you wouldn't mind sharing with us some of those trials and tribulations you faced. And I guess more importantly, we don't talk about the specifics of those, but more importantly, what did you learn from that? For example, I know you have a pretty extensive YouTube channel. How did you learn that was going to be an important part of growing your business?
Well, with the YouTube channel, I knew that I was just really good on video. I felt very comfortable. I had some experience when I was in the school system of being on our morning news station every single day. And I loved being in front of camera. So it wasn't something that scared me, and it was easy. And then I also found out that search engine optimization is a lot easier with video than it is with blogging or any other method. So I knew that this was going to be an easier way for me to get in front of people so that they even knew that I existed.
Yeah, well, it's an important thing. I learned the same thing, and I'm comfortable with the camera as well. Back in my corporate career, being up in front of people and speaking in front of people all the time. And I learned the exact same thing. I got kind of talked into it. Ironically enough, a guru that I was following back in, I want to say 2018. He was doing a lot of video, and just one day, here I am. I can't wait for his next video. And his next video comes up, and I watch it, and then I watch it again later in the day, and then I might watch it again a couple of days later to make sure it all sank in. And I started thinking about it, and I'm like, I've never heard of this guy until I started watching his videos. And after watching, 6 or 8 of his videos, and typically they're fairly short, I felt like I know the guy, right? I feel like he's a buddy of mine, and I've only seen 6 or 8 of his videos. But it's so much more personal than reading an article that someone's written. And at the end you see by Ken Wentworth, right? And you forget who the heck wrote it. You might remember some things from the article, but you don't remember. But this personal touch and the authenticity of it, not making it too perfect, not making it scripted. And I think what I've found at least is people really appreciate that is you don't want it to be too scripted and too perfect. Have you experienced the same sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to it, people aren't expecting that either, which is really a beautiful thing, because if they were expecting everything to be perfect on my YouTube channel, they're definitely not my ideal client, because I make lots of mistakes, and and I always tell people, even when I work with them, like, look, I'm going to serve you the absolute best that I can. There are going to be times where I make mistakes, and you know what? I apologize for those in advance, but you know what? This is just going to help you, because when you make mistakes, I'm going to be there to pick you right back up, because this is all part of putting yourself out there. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be scripted. It is just going to be your authentic self.
So is that one of the things you teach? Is, again, I don't want you to give away the secret sauce, but is that one of the things you teach in with your mastermind is having folks get on and do video and create a YouTube channel and things like that?
Not necessarily create a YouTube channel, but I do have them create a welcome video on their website, because I do think that it's going to help them to stand out compared to other tutors out there.
Yes.
So many tutors, if you look at their website, they try to pretend to be a big business. But one of the best things that we have to offer as independent freelance tutors is the parent gets to choose us. And so we need to shine. Like, our website needs to be all about not only our ideal client, but instead of throwing stock photos up there that are just wasting space and chintzy videos of other things that actually aren't us, why not speak to your ideal client on your website and let them know that you understand exactly where they're coming from, what they're struggling with, and how you can be the solution to that problem.
Yeah. And one of the things I really like about what you said was, how do you stand out from your competitors, other tutors? So I'm thinking of it as a parent, right? I've got 3 daughters as well. And I'm thinking, if I was trying to choose an online tutor and I go out and I'm finding a bunch of websites that are just what you described, stock photos, blah, blah, blah. And then I run into one where there's a welcome video. I actually see the person who's going to tutor my daughter. I get an idea, at least a little bit of an idea of their personality. I get an idea, are they very prim and proper, or they kind of joke around, a little less formal? To get an idea, do I think that'll fit best with, my daughter's personality as well? Do I think she'll, take to that person, or she'll say, oh my gosh, they're so, whatever, right? So I think that's really, really important. And I think it's a great distinction for those folks to make, is again, to differentiate yourself from some of your competitors.
Yeah. And I always tell them, it doesn't have to be perfect, you guys. Like, your first stuff, like, don't think about like your first website or the first video that you create as the only one you're ever going to create. You're going to get better over time. So create one, put it out there. It may stink, and that's okay, because guess what? Stinky websites and stinky flyers still get students. So just put it out there, and you can improve it as time goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's another thing that we should look for as business owners that you learned from some of your trials and tribulations over the years, that we should be on the lookout for, maybe to avoid, or maybe things we should do to be proactive to avoid them?
I think first, like, just make sure that you're doing what you're doing because you love it, right? Like, have that passion there. When I started doing the network marketing, I hated every single call, and I'm the kind of person who perseveres through everything. And so I stuck with it for like 6 months, but I hated every single moment. And I knew it from the first call, but I wanted to stick with it and not give up so easily. And, I should have left it a lot sooner than I did. But they had me invest a ton of money and all that kind of stuff. So I think one of the biggest things is, if people are asking you to pay like a ton of money out of the gate in order to get started with something, it's probably not right. There should be some caution in the wind there, right? It's one thing to get coaching and be guided through something, but some of those network marketing companies, they are, they don't really service the people that are underneath them. They are the ones that are making the most money from it. Also, be aware for people that, they try to sell your services to you on the phone or in an email, and you never contacted them before. So be careful, because I find that that's where the SEO kind of scam artists like to hang on out. I got a phone call one time where they said, oh, we'll get you on page 1 of Google. As soon as I took a look at the keywords, they told me they wanted me to only use keywords that were location specific. Well, guess what? Nobody was looking up those keywords. So if I use those keywords, yeah, it might look like I'm on page 1 of Google, but if nobody's typing in those keywords, am I really on page 1 of Google? No, because nobody's even looking on those pages. So there were things that I learned like right out of the gate. Do not like answer those kinds of calls. There'll also be people that will say, oh, we'll get you inside of like the sports flyers at the school. The schools are not going to call you for you and your business. So that is a scam as well. So just keep your eye open for those kinds of things, so that you are always running your business in a way that feels good to you, and you don't feel like you are getting like kind of snookered in all these other scams that are out there.
Yeah. And the whole location specific keywords and everything, for certain industries, those work great, right? If I got a plumbing company in Poughkeepsie, then I want to be number 1. I want to be on the front page or the first page of Google for plumbers in Poughkeepsie. But for something like what you do and what I do, I'm location agnostic essentially. So I don't want to just be in Columbus, Ohio, or Poughkeepsie, or whatever, where it may be. I want to be everywhere, right? Yeah. And so those location specific things don't work. So I agree with that. Here we are. We're out of time already. But Joanne, I really appreciate you coming on, sharing your insights. It was great to hear about onlinetutorcoach.com, onlinetutorcoach.com. Go out and check that out. Joanne, thanks so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And as always, don't forget, have a great week, and cash flow is king.
This has been Mr. Biz Radio. To learn how to become part of Mr. Biz Nation, visit MrBizSolutions.com. For access to free weekly content, subscribe to the Mr. Biz YouTube channel and follow him on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. To listen to archive shows, you can find them on the Mr. Biz Solutions website.